decades or centuries of meaning behind it. There's already a lot of people saying, hey, and this is where I graduated and whatnot. So we allow people to upload memories. It allows people to level up these blocks in a generous manner. And so we just created this memory yesterday. This is actually one of our Discord members who flew in, and another one who's going to be from the UK just to hang out with us. And hey, we came here to NFT Week, and so we embed this memory into the blocks, and it becomes more and more valuable. So we're very focused on how to create lasting value. And we know in the real world, when you have a museum, when you have a historical site, a landmark, the more time that goes by, the more valuable it is. And this is very important because our mission is to preserve humanity's most precious memories onto the blockchain. My co-founder, June, who was from Google, he got a message that says, oh, Google will start charging him for Google Photos. And he's like, oh, wow. Of course, it's run by a private company, right? So one day, like 80 years later, if Google decides to shut it down, or his grandchildren decide to stop paying for Google Photos, all his memories are gone. When we think about why do we need the blockchain, right? There's a lot of companies that use blockchain for gimmick. Crypto is a gimmick, it can raise more funding for it. But what's the true value it brings to the system? Why does it help a project and make humanity better? And we realize it's about this thing where when it's on the blockchain, it stays there theoretically forever, right? You know, it's much, much harder to go away. And when you create an NFT project, you need to have a complex, intricate economy. Right? So this is a game loop we designed, and this creates that utility. When you think about utility, there's really three kinds. One utility is that it helps its own little ecosystem. Right? Hey, we have these PFPs, and later on, you can use these PFPs to modify itself and a hat. Right? We have utility, but it just helps itself. If this project does not exist, it doesn't really have any utility, right? It's self-circular utility. Then there's the utility that it helps other crypto blockchain projects. Ethereum, right? Hey, look, you know, we have smart contracts, and we can empower all these other blockchain projects. So it helps other projects. That's stronger utility. Then you have the third one, which is actually helps things that people already do in the real world in terms of, hey, we need to transfer money, but it has a lot of problems. So Bitcoin, right, now it can be more easily, more decentralized, cheaper potentially. So you want to think about utility in these ways, and you want to design it into game loop. Game loop's always complex, and so I don't expect you guys to really know it, but usually when we start, it's always a smaller MVP, and you want to grow to a bigger one, and you keep growing that experience. And basically, when you start getting the blocks, it starts generating meta rent. And one very important thing for the meta rent is that you want to use it to get landmarks, so the Gamification Bridge, whatnot. And what we want to do is we want to make sure the whales don't just come in and buy a bunch of the landmark, the Gamification Bridge. This is not the community we want. It's about lasting value. So the people who could actually win the Gamification Bridge are the people who invest in the blocks, upload good memories, right, that are important, that are inspiring, heartwarming, and collect meta rent for a long time. And they're the people that deserve to say, I win the auction without meta rent, so that we can own a landmark. The landmark is finally the thing that generates the PRC20 and Metablox points. So we want to make sure there's an intricate system that connects everything together. There's a lot of projects out there that's literally just say, hey, look, this is it, and buy it or leave it, right? And you want to make sure that it connects to a lot of different components, and this is where really good gamification design comes into place. In the long run, what we want to do is also connect the physical world with the virtual world. I'm personally not a huge fan of the Ready Player One feature, where everyone spends all their time in the digital metaverse, in the virtual world, and the real world is trash, right? You don't want to spend any time here. We want to make sure people actually make this world better, so they don't need to constantly go to the virtual. So the idea about Metablox is also so that it connects to the digital metaverse, where we believe one day there's going to be a metaverse where your avatar can get this angel wins the game, you can take those angels everywhere. And what we want to do is, hey, you can go somewhere in the real world, and through smart glasses, AR glasses, smart watches, they'll say, like, oh, you have those angel wins from the game, you can come in for free as a VIP. Or the other way around, your character, your avatar goes around the world and it has all these cool cosmetics. But you know, if you wanted to get this really cool, unique sunglasses, the only way to do it is to physically travel to Miami, go to this place, check in, and that's the only possible way your digital avatar could get these sunglasses. So everyone knows, hey, you have this, that means you went to Miami. The other thing we want to do is we want to create real memories for the real world. So we want people to say, hey, we own this blocks and we want to go to these places, create new memories together, take photos, do this write-up, and create adventures together. Right now, it's San Francisco to Miami. Obviously, we're going to open up to a lot more cities. And so we want to have different game mechanics. Hey, if you go to every city and create memories in every single city that we have, you'll get certain rewards and benefits. So now we want to enrich people's real lives. The NFT project is not just a picture you show people from your wallet every once in a while. It's something that actually becomes a lifestyle, it enriches you. So we're constantly thinking about how to make the real world better, how to make humanity better for generations to come. And I think it's important to think about how to bring that into your project. Now, when we talk about meaning, the question, how to imbue meaning into your NFT project? This is very important. This is quadrant 1, epic meaning and calling. That's the quadrant that says, because we feel like we're part of something bigger than ourselves, or we're fully motivated, that's the sacrificial self-drive. And I think Bitcoin really needed this in the early days, right? Because Bitcoin in the early days, it was so much friction, figuring out, it's so confusing, and you don't even know how it works. But there's this early community that has this epic meaning and calling that says, hey, decentralization, we cannot trust big banks, we cannot trust the government. So even though this is highly frictional, I am on this mission, and I'm on this journey, and I don't care if people think I'm stupid, I'm crazy, I'm gonna die on this hill because I believe this higher meaning and calling, right? The early Bitcoin people, they're not saying like, oh, I can get rich, I can go to the moon, right? They're like, no, this will change humanity. And you want your project to have that. So there's a variety of themes that connect to epic meaning and calling, and you want to embed that into your project, right? Even if it's about making money, right? Money itself sounds a little sleazy, right? It's not an epic meaning calling. It's actually core drive 4, ownership and possession. It's fully extrinsic left brain core drive. But a lot of them tie money to freedom, right? And you can talk about freedom all you want, and that sounds like a higher purpose. Like, hey, don't do it for freedom. You know, financial freedom, freedom of thought, but things like honor, saving the world, things like justice, defeating common enemy. Politicians love using that, right? Defeat a common enemy, so we unite our group of people. Of course, in the bigger scale, it creates a lot of problems, factions, alignment. So I want you to think about your NFT project. If there are higher meaning and purpose already in the project, what does it represent? Is it just fun to look at? Does it represent something that makes humanity better? Does it represent honor or righteousness? And if you don't have it, I recommend you to go and think about how do you imbue, right? Implement that higher meaning into your project. Now, of course, sometimes it's just a marketing thing you would say about, but I would highly recommend if that's embedded in the DNA of your NFT project that exists because it actually brings out some of these higher values in people, in your project. I think you will have lasting value, right? I think NFTs, everyone's doing an NFT these days, and they're talking about it's overly high, and I think a lot of them will die, but it's just like .com. I think past speakers talked about this. When .com bubble burst, .com did not fail. It was the valuation, financing, exuberance. People said, oh, this is not worth $10 billion, this is only worth $100 million. And then everyone sold it, went down, right? But it's amazing that a website is worth $100 million in the first place, right? So .com was valuable, it's still growing, and it still kept growing, and now we know the top 100 websites in the world are immensely valuable, some of the most valuable things in the world, in fact. So it's important to think about how to make sure your NFT project lasts through the times if you really have higher meaning and purpose in your project, and then go not just from being rich, but actually making humanity better. Thank you very much. Woo, you guys!